Well, hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight. My name is Gayle Nicholson, and I am your host. Today, I am very excited and looking forward to talking to my guest because he runs a website called Smoke and Bacon, which is totally irreverent, inappropriate humor, and it's right up my alley. So I want to talk to today Mr. Wade Saxton, the founder of Smoke and Bacon. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Wade. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, like we were just talking about before the show started, I absolutely adore your designs over there. My favorite, first and foremost, is the farting unicorn. um, I've been a fan of Corey Michelle's work for a long time, and her tribe all identify as a unicorn. And when I was a kid, I was fascinated with unicorns. It seems like they went away and came back for a while, after a while. So it's very timely, and I imagine is that one of your better sellers, or are
That's
there?
one of our better sellers. Yeah, is the farting unicorn
And
and
go ahead.
the all the other pretty big sellers.
All of the wet ones, unicorn ones.
All the unicorn ones are pretty big sellers. We have a few of them.
Do you? What are the other ones that you have? I didn't notice them. I want to go back now.
So yeah, um, we have one that says, "Bitch, I'm a unicorn. I'm fabulous." It's got a
Nice.
unicorn on there. We have a we have one. Not none of them are safe for work, and none of them are safe for school or anything like that. They're definitely not safe for any of that. We've got one with cupcakes that's got some different words on there, and then we got one with a unicorn, and I forget it says something about shit and rainbows and things like that.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, I wanted to delve a little bit into your background. I know that you were in the army. Thank you very much for your service. Thanks for writing that check, so to speak, that the government can cash up to and including anything. Um, so, really, thank you very much for doing what you've done for our country. Um, did you start smoking bacon before that or after that? What's your backstory on the site and doing inappropriately humored T-shirts?
So I've never been one that anybody would say had a filter. I just lack it. I was born without one, and from my best friends to anybody who knows me, I'm the kind of person that you don't want to put on speakerphone, and you definitely want to be able to kick in the shin when you take them somewhere new. So and a lot of that stuff just comes from everyday life. We find humor in so many things. So especially when I was down at Fort Benning, we used humor a lot to get through all that. Um, and outside of there, in regular work, every day we use humor to overcome things. And one of the things that we found is as you know, most of us have a sense of humor that's a little dark, a little twisted,
Hmm.
that doesn't really set well with we'll call them normal people, for lack of better
Okay.
term.
Okay.
So, the kind of people when you tell a joke or say something, they give you a look like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" kind of people.
Hmm.
So, me and some friends were sitting around one day, and we had all these great ideas, and we were having each other laughing, and we decided, you know what? Why don't we just put some stuff on some shirts and see what happens? And we started doing that. Put some funny stuff on some shirts. Some things that we never thought would sell because they were very offensive and things like that. And lo and behold, the more offensive we got, the more we sold.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was a really opposite from what we expected. Um, that started taking off there, and we just started making them more and more offensive, and just sort of rolling that way over the last year.
Nice. And it seems to be doing well for you, I'd say. How's
Yeah,
business?
doing
I
really
mean,
good.
other than COVID taking its chunk of flesh,
Uh,
how's business overall?
well, one of the things we were lucky with was we diversified at the very beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember Robert Garcia. You know Robert, right?
Oh yes.
one of the things he talked about that really stuck with me before was you can't have all your eggs in one basket. And that's true. You really can't. Facebook, for example, if you run your entire business off Facebook and Facebook shuts down, what are you going to do?
Right.
You know, so you got to be able to diversify. And our growth was such that we opened up a bunch of Facebook groups. And then from there, we saw a forced need to move into creating our own app outside of Facebook, where the people with the dark humor like us can gather and have a equal footing with everybody else that's there. No one really gets offended, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like-mindedness in
Yes,
all
like-mindedness.
tribes. Yeah.
Yeah.
A forced move to a life outside of Facebook. You want to elaborate a little bit on how that happened?
So me and Adolf Zuckerberg have had a love-hate relationship. I told him what he could do with himself. He locked me out of being able to create groups and advertise. We're banned from advertising ever again on Facebook, and we can't even create new pages or anything like that. He's got us completely locked down. And all this started back last October. And what ended up happening last October was we were having an event on our Facebook groups. And a lot of people ended up getting a ban, getting thrown in Facebook jail. And we ended up getting thrown in Facebook jail.
Okay.
And I don't know if anybody knows or not, but when you're thrown in Facebook jail, all your business pages, all your personal pages, everything is locked down. You can't post, you can't talk, you can't interact, you can't do anything. You literally are dead in the water. And that goes back to what Robert said, you're done. You're dead in the water. We couldn't even moderate our pages. So it became a free for all on the pages, and it was really bad.
Wow.
And through some back channels, we got in touch with the folks at Facebook and all that, and they didn't even have any real answers, and they can't give you any real answers on why it happened. It's just you violated something, and you got to go figure out what it is. So at that point, I realized that he had complete control of my business. Yeah. And he could actually do anything he wanted to. So I started researching that and found that Facebook is known to do this. They are known to knock out, especially competition, small competition, because they can stomp them down. 70% of most social media created inside of Facebook is squashed and gone within a year, usually by Facebook, which is an astounding number. Only the ones that grow really, really quick and move away from Facebook are the ones that survive, like the Chive, Funny or Die, things like that. So when we were in lockdown, we actually decided that we weren't ever going to allow this to happen again. And we built our own app outside of Facebook that's now available on iOS and Android, and soon for computers and all that, so that they can't have control of that. So then when we got our rights back about 35 days later, where we could do it, where we could interact with our groups and all that, started promote our outside of Facebook. Of course, we were using Facebook to promote that, to advertise that. And they determined that we really violated their community guidelines then, because we were advertising a competing app, and they locked us out completely. We're not allowed to do anything now. So that led to a whole different fight, where we had a social media wars campaign going on for a while, and we ended up getting a cease and assist letter telling us to knock it off, that we couldn't keep trashing Facebook. They got the better lawyers right now. So we had to knock it off, and we ended up moving most of our people, most of our community and everything else, because it really is a community, off of Facebook to protect them as well as us. So if he was to shut us down on Facebook tomorrow, we'd be able to survive.
That's a hard lesson. It's a really hard lesson. And obviously not fair, but at the same time, I'm glad to see that you have landed well. You know what I mean? I know that the base app that you have is free to anybody who wants to sign up for it, and then you've also got like premium stuff to it. So why
Right.
don't you give me a verbal tour of what's available inside that app?
Okay. So we have a bunch of different communities. We call them communities inside there. Everything from for sale communities to a regular just community zone to off-road communities to ladies communities, ladies only communities, men's communities, things like that. We have the ability for messaging, for posting. We have the ability for live streaming. So we can do one-way live streams. We can't do two-way like Zoom yet. We're working on it.
Hmm.
But you have that ability, and we have original content on every night of the week, with the exception of Saturday night. We have our friend Annette on Monday nights, a wild ride called Life. She
Hmm.
comes in and she does an hour-long show to help the ladies and guys if they're having any problems, help solve issues, help get people on the right track. Tuesday nights we have downtime with Juliana, and she's just a mom who has to take care of the world, so she really resonates with our female members. Wednesday night we have the man cave.
Hmm.
Um, Annette is a veteran.
Hmm.
Juliana is not. John Gibson with the man cave, he's a veteran.
Okay.
Um, we try and keep a lot of our veteran groups, lot of give back to the other veteran groups and bring them in.
Nice.
So he does man stuff, cars, things like that. Thursday night we have Parlay Eights, uh, Pillage Overload. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
and Jay and Devra. They do custom historic pirate gear,
Oh,
and they
sweet.
actually, yeah, they tell about a lot of history about pirates, and they're dressed up and drunk, and they have a whole set and everything in their house. It's great fun.
That's
After about
awesome.
3 or 4 glasses of rum, it's highly entertaining. Jay's a veteran there. We have Scarlet Secrets on Fridays, which is a little more risque. She's a veteran. Saturdays are our backup days in case something happens during the day. Somebody can go on Saturday. And Sundays, we have a new show. We have a positivity show where it's just meant to keep people positive what's going on in the world and show people the wonders of the world. And that's Brandon, and he did a really good job his last show. So we have that original content. That's part of the premium group, things like that. And the reason we have a difference is I don't want to create the same mistake that Facebook did, in my opinion.
And what is that?
So Facebook is free. It's the
Hmm.
biggest argument we get. Why should we pay for a premium section of the app when we have Facebook for free? Well, some people don't realize is a free app, you're the product.
Yeah.
Your information is being sold. What you do, what you like, where you go. And if you look in your Facebook app right now, it says there's an option that says we can track everything you do inside of Facebook and outside of Facebook on your phone. And we can have all that data, and you're agreeing to it just by using them.
Right.
We don't do any of that. We do the minimum legal required to sign up. I don't even want to know your real name. I don't need to know your real name. So you get to create a screen name. You put an email in there. We make sure you're 18, and we ask if you're a veteran or not, because we have certain groups that we allow veterans in and other groups that we don't.
Right.
So obviously we don't want the non-veterans in the veterans group. You know what I mean?
Of
So
course. Yeah. Yeah.
we don't do any advertisements other than we'll allow veteran companies to, like Kurt with Ballast Woodworks. We let him advertise in there. And he has a discount for the premium members, things like that. And the premium members also get a discount in our web store with all of our shirts. So every month they get a new code, and they go in there and get 10% off their entire order.
Nice.
So there's a lot of benefits for being a premium and a free member inside of the app. But with, like you said, with the COVID taking its chunk of flesh, you can't survive with just one source of income right now. You got to have multiple ones. So, and shirts are a luxury, but social media we're finding is more of a necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. Say a little bit more about that. That social media we're finding is a necessity.
So the world now is talking to people doesn't happen anymore. And here's what I mean by that. So if you're single, you have 100 different dating apps out there. Mm-hmm. Very rarely is anybody going to go to a bar or a restaurant or a baseball game and walk up and introduce to somebody and start talking to get to know them. We're going to do it on social media. We're going to do it on Tinder. We're going to do it on Facebook. It's become a shield for people. The best way to describe it is, for a while you could do personals in a newspaper, for example, single white male, single white female, single black male, female, all those things, and someone would write back. Now we have this shield where we don't feel we have to interact personally between a person to another person anymore, and that we can act how we want. And that unfortunately requires companies like Facebook to interact and intercede like mom and dad, which is what they're doing right now, turning it into Big Brother. So unfortunately, today, social media is a necessity. If you were to cut off all social media to everybody, I think you would have a bigger riot than what you have going on now in the U.S. I think it would be absolutely, it would be explosive. So it's become a necessity for people to be able to interact, because they've forgotten those skills on how to interact in person, and they've forgotten how to take something someone says that they don't agree with, and it's okay.
You've noticed that too, eh?
Because you have to shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have this invisible shield, the keyboard warrior.
Yes. And we could do an entire show just on how Facebook seems to be a bucket of crabs just rotting in the sun, Oh, yeah. And if there's any one crab that shows a sign of life and tries to get out of that bucket, they will be dragged back. Yeah.
And unfortunately, you will never, and this was a hard pill for me to swallow, you will never, ever get completely away from Facebook. They are too big and they are too ingrained. They own 75 companies, things you don't even know about they own. Like the graphics interchange format, the GIFs or the GIFs, however people want to pronounce them, that you use on your phone every day, they own that company.
And Instagram, so no matter, yeah.
No matter what app you use that has that stuff in there, you're still supporting Facebook no matter what.
Yep. Gosh, it's an interesting conundrum that we've gotten ourselves into with all of it. I mean, Twitter was its own bad story for a while, for a long period of time as well. And I just, honestly, between you and me, I don't see things getting a whole lot better over on Facebook as far as the interactions between people, especially not with the way that they're trying to guide the conversation for their own purposes the way that they are, and putting people in Facebook jail, and some of the stuff that their artificial intelligence is blocking and banning, that is like overturned like that if you can get a human being to look at it because they understand context. But yeah,
yes.
It's just, and I get just completely bound up. I want to say everything at once, but yeah, it's very difficult, and it's even very difficult to stay connected with friends, because you've got a friend that you've known all of your life. You've got these wonderful warm connections in 4 or 5 areas of life, and then there's this one opinion that they have that they just will not change their opinion about, and will exit out of your life because your opinion is not the same. That is a recipe for the fall of a nation right there, because
yes,
it rots community. It does. So yeah. Let me rein all this back in, and let's take a look a little bit with what you've got going on with Smoke and Bacon Radio.
Oh, that's a new fun one. So we're hooked up with Smoke and Bacon Radio, and it's what we call the first social media driven radio station. So for some of us older people, we had MySpace where you could put songs up on the page and people could hear songs. And currently you have Spotify, you have all these other things. But what you don't have is a social media driven radio station that's driven by the community. So one of the communities in our app and even on our website allows them to control the radio. So they put in their requests and things like that, like the old DJ days. You can put in your requests you want. We put them in there. We have theme days. We have, time travel Tuesdays, 50s and 60s, all the way up to 2010s, 20s on Fridays. We have Fuck It Fridays. That's where we have a good time. Motivational Mondays, things like that. But one of the things that we're going to be doing with it that we had started to do before the COVID shutdowns and things like that was provide low cost radio airtime for veteran owned companies, for small veteran owned companies.
Nice. For commercials or for broadcast?
For commercials.
Okay.
So because people listen to radio everywhere, they listen to it all the time, and you may catch something on TV and you may not. But more importantly, a lot of these small companies can't afford those rates. So if I could give you 10, 30-second spots a week for $100, that's worth it to some small businesses. What do we have the huge, listenership that the car radios have and things like that? No, but we have enough people to make it worth $100 a week.
Yep. So. I like it a lot. So do you simulcast or anything? Some of the stuff, like you've got the new content each night of the week in the app. Do you ever like forward that stuff over to the radio, or is it all just music?
In the radio, it's all just music.
Awesome stuff. Very cool. Now, before we talk about the future, I actually want to talk a little bit about what you're offering as far as the gift to our audience today. Because I thought this was really interesting. And I went to the website to go check it out, the app, right? And I'll be honest with you. Call me blonde, but I was very disappointed to see that there was no bacon on the website.
Yes. Yes.
I honestly expected there to be a drop down with, like sauces and rubs and stuff for smoking a good brisket or something like that. And, it wasn't there. But I hear that you've hidden it somewhere in the barbecue section of the app.
Yes, we have a barbecue section of the app that we're bringing online now. It's been there, but we're bringing it up more now, where there's barbecue recipes and smoking competitions and things like that, where we give away prizes. And Donald, I was working with him a few weeks ago, getting some pricing on some leather goods and things like that we could use as giveaways and all that. So we try and keep everything within the veteran community there.
Awesome. So that's Donald Dodson with Dodson Designs, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah,
So I got to get back with him and see what his list is.
He's got amazing work. I just love his leather tooling that he does.
It's insane how good it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right, so what's in the future for you? What's next? This is pretty amazing. It's an expanding wildly, so that's great.
Yep. So we have a few charities that we work with. The Virginia Free Farm Spotted Pig Hauler with Amy Rose Miller, who's also a veteran. So, for example, right now, if people purchase the 1-year premium membership on our website instead of doing it monthly through Apple or iTunes, 50% of that membership goes towards that food that is grown and provided for free through the Virginia Free Farm for people.
That's awesome.
She works around the clock growing acres and acres of food and gives it away freely and doesn't ask for anything. If someone calls and says, I need food, she will drive it hours to them and provide them food.
That's amazing.
Chicken, meat, things like that. So we help support them. So one of our goals in the future is to help provide more funding for them. And the only way we can provide more funding for them is to help grow more ourselves. And they have a pretty cool event coming up that we're doing this weekend that I can't talk about, but you guys will see in a few weeks that it's going to be highly entertaining for people to help provide them some much needed resources.
Excellent, excellent to hear. So, all of you that are watching today, please go to. There's a link in the description. It's a very long link, but it'll take you right to being able to sign up for the app with this premium membership. 20% off, and 50% of that membership will go to the Virginia Free Farm to
Yep.
support them in growing more food that they freely give to the community. So that's that's a win-win-win situation right there. I highly recommend going and downloading the app. Definitely.
Yeah,
I
no
plan on
social
doing it
media
just for the
jail,
what?
free speech. I said no social media jail, free speech, and you help provide food for people. That's a win.
Right? Beat that, Zuckerberg. That's awesome. All right, my dear. I want to thank you for being with us today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I highly encourage our watchers to go over and download this app because there's some really, really cool stuff inside of it that you'll find once you get in there. Do you have any final thoughts for us today, Wade? Anything pressing that you'd love to share with everybody?
No, not really. Just remember that it may not be as bad out there as people think, but you need to use your own mind and see what's going on. Don't just listen to what everybody else says.
Beautiful.
And because it's on Facebook, don't mean it's true.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it, Wade. You take care and have a great week, Facebook. Bye. When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show